back. I know it's been a little bit. We took a little break for New Year's, but here we are, and we're starting the year right. We are doing a beautiful linguini carbonara. I've had quite a few people come to me and say, Brendan, it seems difficult, it sounds difficult, it looks difficult, you're putting eggs in pasta, I don't like scrambled eggs in pasta. Well, that's not what it is, so don't worry about it. But we're here to do it. It's easy, I promise. I'm gonna show you a foolproof way to make sure that you get that super nice, creamy, eggy, cheesy beautifulness that you see in all the restaurants. So let's get into it. Okay, so to start, the ingredients you'll need: some garlic, some parsley, eggs, Parmesan cheese, and butter, and that's really it. Here I'm just crushing some garlic, 2 garlic cloves. I'm gonna smash it to get the paper off, and then I'm just gonna quickly run through it and do a quick mince. Nothing crazy, you don't have to get super specific about it. And then we're gonna use that for our sauce. The garlic's minced. Did you see that little finger action going? I mean, come on. So now, I forgot to mention that we're using bacon too. So I'm just taking some bacon I have here. I think I used like 3 strips. Again, the recipe will be down in the description. And I'm just kind of running through and making small little chunks. These are the same size chunks that I did for the Amatriciana sauce that I also did a video on that you can check out. Okay, so bacon is in the pan. It's on a very low flame right now, nothing crazy, because what I want to do is render that bacon out so that all that really nice fat comes out, but you end up with some really nice crispy pieces of bacon. Shout out to Joshua. So we are back at the cutting board, and I'm just grating some of this Parmigiano Reggiano on my box grater. That is, I'm gonna mix it with the egg to make the base for my carbonara sauce. And you're gonna want, I think the recipe calls for a 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese, of the Parmigiano Reggiano. So I'm just grating all this up and getting it ready, because mise en place is very important here, because once the pasta is done and you go to put it into your eggs, you really don't have a lot of time to add anything else. So I would make sure that you have everything ready to go and set before you get your panties in a bunch, because that's never fun when you're dealing with raw egg. So I'm just making sure that the bacon is rendering out nicely. I want to make sure that nothing's sticking and no parts of the bacon are burning, because you don't want, when bacon burns, it tends to get a little bit bitter. You definitely don't want any bitter bits of pork in this sauce. It'll really throw off everything. I'm going to move on to my parsley. I'm going to give that a quick chop. Again, nothing crazy, nothing too intense or precise, same as the garlic. You just want to get it a little bit smaller, and we're mostly going to use this as a garnish, but we are going to put some into the pasta after it's done getting mixed with our egg and cheese mixture, combination, all of that good stuff. I'm so excited for you guys to see this. It's seriously so good. And I know when people think carbonara, they think it's, super difficult for some reason, but I really don't know why. Yes, it does have raw egg, but it's not that intimidating. Come on. So the bacon is almost done. As you can see, we're starting to get some really nice brown crispy edges around the bacon bits that we have in there. And then you can see a lot more fat has rendered out as well into the pan, which is exactly what we're looking for. Okay, so I put my minced garlic into the pan along with my bacon and all of the grease. And then I put a little bit of white wine in there as well to deglaze the pan, to make a little emulsion with the rest of the fat that was from the bacon. And what I'm going to do is just let this simmer a little bit and let that sauce thicken very slightly, because I'm going to use that to also add into my egg and cheese mixture when the pasta gets all mixed together. Look at me playing with that pasta like a deck of cards. Okay, so pasta goes in. I have just a pound of linguini here. You can really use whatever kind of pasta you want, spaghetti, angel hair, all of those. Just be aware that the thinner you go and the thicker you go from linguini, the harder it's going to be for this sauce to come together. So just keep that in mind as you're picking your pasta, but a linguini or a spaghetti works great. So I am just cracking 2 whole large eggs into my bowl. And a key tip here is you want your eggs to be as fresh as possible, as fresh as possible. The fresher the better, and the better your sauce will be for an end result. And as you can see, I'm using tongs to whisk because I am unprepared and I didn't have a whisk. But that's okay. You just want to make sure that the whites and the yolks are very well combined. You want to incorporate some air into there, the same way you would do when you're making a hollandaise. And you just want to make sure that you don't have any lone bits of yolk or whites, because as you put your hot pasta in there, it's gonna start to cook the egg, and you don't wanna have like egg whites or egg yolks cooked separately from each other, because then they're not gonna emulsify the right way that you want them to emulsify. Okay, so now I'm going to take my grated Parmesan cheese that I had, and I'm going to put all of that into my whisked eggs that I just did. And then once I put that in, I'm going to give that another good whisk, get it all combined, get the cheese evenly distributed through there, and you'll see that your egg mix starts to get a little bit thicker, which is exactly what you're looking for. So if you see that it's not thick enough, or it doesn't really, the consistency of it doesn't change when you put your cheese in, that means you probably don't have enough cheese in there yet. And another important tip is for the cheese you want to try to use grated cheese as opposed to like a shredded or something like that, because the grated really emulsifies, wow, I'm using that word a lot, really melts a lot easier than like a thicker chunk of cheese would, like a shredded or a shaved. I just hit it with a little bit of salt, just about a teaspoon of salt, because you always want to season. But again, since you're using the Parmesan, which is naturally pretty salty, you don't need to do too much because that's going to be plenty. And then of course, to garnish, we're going to hit it with a little bit more salt and pepper, because if this is my channel, everything gets salt and pepper at the end. Okay, so as you can see, I simmered that sauce down pretty much to sec, which means to dry. Here, I'm just draining off my linguini into a very small strainer, into an even smaller sink, if you can believe that. This is just like a little hand sink we have at the bar, but I didn't feel like running all the way upstairs just to strain my pasta, so that's what you get. Okay, so we're all set up. Our pasta is cooked, our egg and cheese mixture is ready to go, our bacon reduction is here, and we're set. So let's just start combining. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my cooked pasta, toss it right into a big stainless steel bowl I have here with my egg and cheese mix, and we're gonna toss that pretty rigorously for a few minutes until everything's really nice and combined and incorporated, and it starts to turn more into a sauce, because as the hot pasta kind of melts the cheese and gets in there with the egg, it'll all just start to come together nicely. So I'm just gonna start mixing this around, saying a quick prayer that it doesn't scramble. And you're able to start, like you'll smell the Parmesan melting for sure. And you wanna make sure you do this as soon as the pasta is done cooking. Like you don't wanna let it sit and cool down at all, because what it's doing here is the heat from the pasta is basically cooking the egg and melting the cheese at the same time. So you wanna make sure that that's happening, and you don't end up with either a raw egg sauce, because that's not cute, or a scrambled egg sauce, because that's just downright disgusting. All right, so then once it's all mixed, I just like to kind of go and give it a few tossies. Smells good, looks amazing. So now I'm gonna take my pan with my bacon, my garlic, and my white wine, which I've let the white wine reduce to just about like a tablespoon of liquid left. And I'm gonna put all of this right into the bowl as well. So just get that all nice and combined in there, everything mixed in. Now, we just gotta finish it off. So I'm gonna take some of that freshly chopped parsley, nice little sprinkle in there, some coarse ground black pepper, just a little bit of salt, and then I am going to take this lemon and just cut that up. And I'm gonna only take half of it, and I'm gonna squeeze it right into here, just so you have a little apparently, a little bite of citrus. All right, beautiful. All right, so let's plate this sucker. So again, pasta bowl here, you've seen it on this channel before, no surprises. I'm just gonna take a little bit, do like a little half twirl right into the dish, a little bit more. And you wanna make sure that each of the strands is here in the bowl is evenly coated, because you don't want anything to kind of stick together as it sits or as you're waiting to plate it, whatever. So it's always a good idea just to make sure that everything's coated. All right, I'm gonna set this aside. So now that we have our little dish here, I'm just gonna take a little bit more pepper right on top, a little bit more of my parsley, cute little nest in the middle, and then just a slight amount of lemon juice right over top, and that's it. We're done. Super simple, foolproof, just biggest tip, don't put your eggs on heat. Just let the heat of the pasta cook everything, melt the cheese, and you'll be set. As soon as you put your eggs onto the heat, or like a double boiler or whatever other recipes say, that's when you introduce so many different opportunities for you to pick it up. So this was actually, I had a few people comment and send me messages that they want to see this. So let me know what you want to see. I'm always more than happy to make it, show you that it's a lot easier than it is. That's my job. So let's keep going. As always, like, comment, subscribe, or as David would say, like, comment, and smile. But a smile doesn't make me any money, so subscribe. And that's it. So I'll see you in the next one.